Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this live stream for the 2021 Spring New Music Ensemble recital from Collin College. We've got 7 pieces on the program tonight. We're really excited about them, and we've been working hard all semester on not only the music, but also the technologies to make this streaming possible. And so you'll be hearing more about that throughout the night. First up, we have a composer who is a very talented songwriter, and he also does electronic music. He took the synthesis class, like some students do who are in the ensemble, and he is currently working on at least a double EP project. And so he's been splitting his time between producing, mastering those works for the EP projects, and also composing for the music ensemble and all the business things that go along with that, like its website and so forth. So he's very, very busy and very, very talented. And like a lot, as you'll see, like a lot of students in the music ensemble, very diversified in his skill sets. He plays multiple instruments. And so he'll be joining us in just a moment. And and as we'll see on the program tonight, we will have a combination of live performances. Eric's piece is going. Eric Lyons, the first up, will be a combination of live electronics, performed live, and then later we will see some pieces that were recorded even yesterday for strings, string duet, and string quartet, and then we'll have a live piano piece performed by myself and live electronics, another live electronics piece performed by Daniel Hoover, and another pre-recorded, recently recorded performance of a composition by our fellow composer Ladarius on the program tonight, and his colleague at UNT. And I don't think I've left anybody out. Um, yeah, Daniel Hawes, who will end the program with a video composition, electronic music for video. So as soon as I see Eric come on, we'll begin tonight's program with his composition for live electronics. Eric uses combination of environments like Logic and also looping, and that's what he's been focusing some of his live electronic music on recently. Um, Throughout the semester, each week we have different topics that we look at compositionally. For instance, this semester we spent a lot of time analyzing some works for strings, like Arvo Pärt's string quartet, Fratres, to look at different techniques for writing for strings, and several students were doing that. And we also spent a lot of time talking about the music technology behind looping, and so it changes from semester to semester what we focus on. But I think without further ado, we'll start with our first piece on tonight's program. Thank you, Eric. That was awesome. So I think the subtitles for each of the four movements are listed in the description for this YouTube live stream, and I believe there was definitely an inspiration for some video game music as part of that. But it it's the music's ready. We'll see when the video game is ready. So next up is a composition from Daniel Hawes. Daniel Hawes is a member of the New Music Ensemble, and he was also taking half-hour applied composition lessons this semester for the first time. So this is his first composition that he's written for a score for traditional orchestral instruments. So it was quite an undertaking, and we think he did an awesome job on it. So he wrote the work for cello and violin, and we were very fortunate to have on our full-time faculty here at Collin College, Alicja Usarek, Dr. Alicja Usarek Topper, who's a fantastic violinist and also teaches music history. And her son is also very gifted and talented cellist. So it was easy for us to say, let's write for violin and cello, because we knew we would be able to beg them to perform it. So we recorded this yesterday, even though we're not performing it live this evening, just because of the COVID restrictions and complications, and also the fact that the music department at the Spring Creek campus, now known as the Plano campus, is pretty wiped out due to the ice storm. We've decided to go ahead and record it yesterday and present it as a live video this evening. So our technical director, Wynn, will cue that up next. for first semester of composition, and writing to learn to write for orchestral instruments is quite an undertaking. So we're all really impressed with that, and we hope to hear that again live and in person when we can get back to the normal post-COVID stuff. So that's on the horizon. There's a whole backlog of pieces that will be nice to hear in face-to-face concerts again once we start. So next up is another talented composer from Collin College. He has recently transferred to UNT, but he still participates and contributes to New Music Ensemble and our consortium of composers. His name is Ladarius Bailey Hunt, and he is a percussionist and a music ed major at UNT. And he's written quite a number of pieces for percussion. He performed a piece for marimba last semester, but he wrote a new piece this semester that's called The Seasons, based on the Vivaldi type framework, but not starting in the same season as Vivaldi's The Four Seasons work. So his piece is A Seasonal Hay Fever, and he also worked with another percussionist at UNT to make this video recording. So we'll cue that up next. Okay, thank you, Ladarius. Sorry, we were setting for the next piece, and then I forgot I'm also emceeing the concert. So that was we had a lot of discussions in New Music Ensemble about the structure of this composition and the amount of thought that Ladarius put into how the different sections went together. And I think the most important salient point is that it starts in the fall like a like the academic school year. So for us in colleges and schools, our year, the four seasons begins in the fall. So that was kind of an interesting twist on it. And again, speaks to what the purpose and the function of the New Music Ensemble is as a collection of composers who work together, support each other, sometimes perform on each other's compositions, and help each other technically, and also provide a sounding board for aesthetic things like how a composition should be shaped. And I should mention at this time that we're very fortunate at Collin College to have now a second new music ensemble at the Wiley campus. So this ensemble that you're seeing tonight is the Plano campus new music ensemble, and we've been focusing the last few years on a lot of electronic and interactive music in addition to acoustic music. The Wiley campus, under the direction of very fine composer Dr. Olga Almakina, is using that new space at Wiley, which has some wonderful instruments, and they are focusing almost exclusively on composing works for acoustic instruments. And I heard their concert last week, and it was a wonderful concert and very fine performances and compositions by the students. So next up, and I should say it was the same. It featured one of Dr. Almakina's pieces. So it's common. We've made it a tradition that the directors of the new music ensembles will also contribute, because we firmly believe that will lead by example, but also the only way we learn about composing and music in this way is by actually composing and very importantly performing. So I'm going to perform a composition I've been working on the last 2 months or so, that it has some of my aesthetic ideas, and so it'll take me just a second to prep this. It's a work for solo piano, and a lot of it involves some dissonant harmonies you'll hear. So there's no stable harmonies as part of this composition, or you won't hear very many. Okay, thank you. I hope you enjoyed that piece. We definitely decided not to do that first because it was a little dark, and also not to do that last because it was a little dark, maybe a little depressing. But next, we're going to move to a very different composition now by very talented young composer Daniel Hoover, who is really accomplished. He teaches piano and composes a lot of electronic music, and so what we'll see is a composition that he's done using Ableton Live, and I will hand it over to our producer to cue that up next. Thank you, Daniel. That was an amazing piece. I could hear a little bit of Arvo Pärt in that, I thought. So we'll have to talk about that later. Just a teeny hint of some of his drone sounds. So that was really nice. And you might have seen the controller that Daniel was performing with. And I was so inspired by what he was able to do with that controller. I bought the same same controller. So hopefully I'll be using that in the future for a live performance as well. So next up, we have another work for strings, graciously performed, read by our new resident string quartet made up of Dr. Alicja Usarek Topper, her husband, Dr. Matson Topper, and their son, Austin Topper, and our very talented student, Michelle Martey. So this string quartet is a Collin College string quartet, and we hope we'll have many more performances in the future. But this evening, they are performing a work by Anna, who is studying the 1 hour version of composition lessons. She's been studying for over a year now and has had a steady output of works for trios with violin, piano, and flute, and string trio before this. I may be mistaken, and then this a string quartet. So please welcome this next composition. It's a video recording of what was performed yesterday. Thank you. Thank you, Anna, and thank you, the Usarek String Quartet, the Collin College String Quartet. I was reminded by Dr. Usarek that her son Austin is actually a student at Collin College now. Even though he's a dual credit student, he's actually a student. So this is a 100% Collin College String Quartet because Dr. Matson Topper has us also taught or is teaching applied lessons this semester as well. And they've directed the string ensemble in the past. And so we're really pleased and looking forward to taking advantage of them in the future to read more of our string quartet works. And so now this brings us to our final piece on the program, another composition by Daniel Hawes, this time more in his traditional wheelhouse, which is with electronic music, but you'll see a variety of things that he can do, playing drums, um, programming synthesizers, and using a very interesting controller that he has adopted and is making a lot of use of. So I'll hand it over to our producer to cue up that piece. That's a video piece. Okay, thank you, Daniel Hawes. I should point out it's very difficult to teach a class when you've got Daniel Hoover and Daniel Hawes. We're always having to say their full names every time. But they both did an outstanding job. And at this time, we, feedback. We like to bring all the composers, if possible. Sometimes technical problems ensue, but we like to bring all the composers into our main stage area, which is what you're looking at right now, to kind of acknowledge all their hard work and effort. And my cat, and there's Anna, Daniel Hoover, Ladarius, Daniel Hawes, Eric, and then two more people that you might not be able to see, who without whom we absolutely could not do this. And there we go. We have our technical producer, Wynn, and also our stage manager, producer, Reed Wilson. And you can see Reed there. We, I can't overstate how important it is to have these two individuals who are only focused on the production. We can't do this without them. So we are very appreciative to them. And I think in conclusion, I also want to thank, of course, our string quartet, Dr. Usarek, Dr. Topper, Austin, and Michelle for making that possible. And I want to congratulate all the students on their hard work. And I want to thank all my colleagues in the music department for all the support they give us. And also our Associate Dean, David Trucero, who might have been here earlier, and our Dean, Lupita Tenen Murillo. And we won't see Win, but we want to definitely thank Win. He's making all this happen. So we'd like to invite you to join us the next time. We usually, beginning last year, we did a concert in May and then another concert in June. So we'll try to keep that series going, and we'll have a whole new batch of pieces to share with you. So stay tuned, and thank you again, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.